No chance.
Conte gone, same old story then for Spurs, throwing away a late lead as it finishes 1-1. What it means, just a reminder how the table stands then after that result. Spurs level on points now with Manchester United. They are in fact ahead of them in goal difference. United though with 2 games in hand. Newcastle with 2 games in hand as well over Spurs. Brighton 3 games in hand over Tottenham Hotspur. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the end of the table, you can see how key that point for Everton could prove to be. It takes them out of the relegation zone. Crikey, O'Reilly, it is so tight, isn't it, down there?
Exciting.
It is exciting. If you're not involved in it, most definitely.
I was being sarcastic.
Right.
Not exciting at all. Most of the teams down there are absolutely garbage. That game today, my God.
Yeah, it was tough to watch, wasn't
I mean, you wouldn't have known. There wasn't that big a gulf that one was in the bottom 3 and one was in the top 4. I mean, it was the ball retention, even from Tottenham, particularly from Tottenham, the ball retention was just dreadful. The lack of invention on both sides. If Harry Kane isn't coming short and picking out a wonder pass, there's nobody for Spurs can do it. Yeah. Nobody. Heung-min Son was terrible again. Højbjerg is limited. Skip is limited. Perisic is a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's in his mid-30s now. It's not easy. But there's just a lack of invention in that Spurs side.
Not a lot of quality at all really on display today, Mark.
No, it was really poor, and I think, you know, the sendings off are pretty much the clearest sendings off you'll ever see, but I do think that Kane definitely overreacted. There was an incident as well prior to that where did he foul Damari Gray in the build-up to it? So I've seen quite a lot of reaction on social media that Kane was a bit lucky with the, you know, getting away with a yellow card. It was just a really bad game. I do think it was poor from Kane, but at the end of it, what a great goal from Michael Keane. It was just something to remember it for anyway, nothing else.
Well, he's the England captain, Ogden. He's got to be better than that.
Standards are going to be set. Embarrassing, I've seen it be described as, Shaq.
What, Kane or the game in general?
Well, you could use that for both.
It was. I mean, he did go down very, very easily, but it was a hand to the face, so it was a red card. Whatever you make of the reaction, I think the referee got that right in that regard. Other than that, at least it opened the game up. At least give us something to talk about, because before that, I'm not sure where spark was coming from. Yeah. And until certainly the second sending-off, where there was a lot more room to run into, because even with 11 men, Spurs didn't offer a whole lot more. In terms of pressing Everton and looking to double their lead. So until Lucas Moura got sent off and there was a little bit of space, at least then there was a game to be had. But before that, goodness me, I mean, it really was a poor show.
Why does Delaney and Ryan Mason in charge, why do they have to have the same blueprint? Why does it have to... Are they saying we don't have the players to play a back 4? We can't play a 4-3-3? Can't It's exactly the same, do you know what I mean? Conte's gone.
Yes.
And I know it's only one game, but it's the exact same shape, pretty much the same personnel. I mean, you're kind of looking for them to come up with something a little bit different within that squad of players that they've got. And I think they have enough players to do that. Maybe not the best players, but it just looks as if he's going to say, well, this is what Conte did, so I'm going to do the same thing, and we'll see if that gets us in the top 4. Not playing like that, I won't.
Let's take a look, shall we, as who the bookies have to come in and take charge at Spurs. Brendan Rodgers is at 4-1. Arne Slot, of course, the manager in charge of Feyenoord, in at 5. Pochettino to return 11-2. Nagelsmann at 6-1. Potter then at 10s. Company 360, 11-1. And then Thomas Frank at 18-1. Who's going to be the next coach there, Mark?
You know something, with Tottenham, you never ever know. I remember when Mourinho went and ended up with Nuno, and they must have approached 4, 5, 6 different managers. They spoke to Erik ten Hag back in those days. Tottenham just have this problem making a decision. You look at that list of names, and we think, well, Brendan Rodgers the favourite in that list, really? I mean, Brendan Rodgers is a good coach, but he could be getting relegated with Leicester prior to being sacked at the weekend. So why would he be top of the list? Pochettino. I think Pochettino will end up back at Tottenham. I just think the way it's going, obviously Nagelsmann will probably end up at Chelsea. Pochettino and Tottenham, it will make everybody happy. It'll make Poch happy, the fans happy, the players happy. Maybe they're going to leave you happy. So I think Pochettino is the best bet. Brendan Rodgers, like we were saying before about Graham Potter, how do you sell that to the Tottenham fans trying to buy season tickets next season? your new manager's going to be a guy that nearly got a team relegated this season. It just doesn't work. It can't work like that.
There was an interview in the Daily Mail, I think it was last week, it was Ian Ladyman, and the interview I think was with Daniel Levy, and basically it was just saying, you know, Levy's got people and has had people over the years that he could listen to about decision making, but quite often he just goes off, shuts the doors, pulls the blinds down, and makes a decision on his own.
Who would you choose?
Well, if Nagelsmann, if Graham Potter was a hard sell, then Brendan Rodgers is a very hard sell as well at the moment. That we're talking about stock dropping, like it's fallen off a cliff. His has for the time being. I know it's a big step, but I think the guy has the gravitas, the aura, the stature, the experience from playing, and enough experience from managing, and Vincent Kompany that is, that it's a left field decision. But I look at the others and it doesn't excite me. It's more of the same.
You'd have Kompany over Pochettino?
I would, because I just don't like going back over the same movie, unless I'm watching AMC again. I've watched The Fugitive 3 times. So I'm looking at, honestly, I just think they need to do something a little bit different. You know, Conte was the guy that was going to guarantee to get them organised and possibly take them to another level with the squad. Never happened. I feel they need, whether it's Kompany or one other like it, for me it's that over Pochettino.
Here's the thing for me though. I just feel like Spurs has this feel that they're a bigger club than I think managers regard them as. We were talking about Spurs and we know how big a club they have been and maybe still are. We talk about a club that currently sitting in top 4. But of the clubs in and around the top 4 who are looking for a manager, is Spurs anybody's first option? You know, just kind of given some of the issues that Mark was just speaking about, some of the issues we're dealing with Daniel Levy around this squad, would a Nagelsmann, for instance, turn down somebody else, even Chelsea, for Spurs? And I'm not so sure. So then it becomes this kind of, well, who do Spurs go for? But then...
So do you agree Kompany's a good shout?
I think Kompany is a very good shout. The questions around Kompany, of course, is will he leave Burnley if he gets them promoted? He doesn't have Premier League experience himself. So again, it's that same sell around Spurs and a club with Champions League ambitions and a manager who hasn't managed at the highest level, certainly in one of Europe's big 5 leagues. So it again becomes this kind of push-pull as to where you go and who's the right fit. More to the point, which manager thinks Spurs is a good fit.
What do you think of Kompany, Mark?
I think Kompany's really bright. I mean, I've done a couple of interviews with the Kompany and spoke to him in the past, and he's really intelligent, he's very impressive, but he's still mid-30s. I'm not quite sure he's got the managerial experience to take on Tottenham. And I do think you've got to remember his time at Anderlecht wasn't massively successful. He's had a great time at Burnley, but I do think that it might be a little bit too soon. And I think the one thing about Kompany is he will plan where he goes. He planned Burnley meticulously, and we were all surprised that he went there, but he will look at his next move, because, you know, if you're successful now, your next move is crucial. Look at Steven Gerrard. He made the wrong move at Aston Villa and he's ended up out of a job after 10 months. So Kompany will be very strategic about it. He'll pick the right job. And is Tottenham the right job right now? You might lose Harry Kane in the summer. There's not going to be a lot of spending on new players. The fans are up in arms about Daniel Levy. It's not a happy club in that sense. So I think Kompany might be a bit more, like I said, strategic than that and wait for a better opportunity. It's a great club, Tottenham, but I don't think it's the right club at the moment for a manager that's on his way up.
You've got to give kudos when you look at all this shambles in London, West London, North London. You've got to give kudos to Arsenal, really, who said, we've made a decision. And I know it maybe I got ropey a couple of times.
I think you said to sack him after he lost the first.
I did not. You're getting this, you're doing this to everybody now.
I've been doing it for 13 years.
When are you going to Disney?
Yeah, we're not going together. It's not me and the producer.
You going with the producer?
Yeah, we're not, no.
He'll take you to a smokehouse. Hide. They stuck with their man, right, through thick and thin, and trusted in the younger players coming through, and trusted them to get Aubameyang and one or two others out. At least they had the stomach to ride out the barrage of criticism and doubters out there. Tottenham's decision-making and Chelsea's decision-making is relegation material in terms of how to run a club.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.